West Ham United 1, Everton 1. I could not start yet another We Are West Ham podcast by singing the super Tomas Soucek song, but boy, does he deserve it. Czech Footballer of the Year for the 4th year running. Absolutely loves a screamer of a goal at Goodison Park. Unfortunately, West Ham couldn't hold on for the 3 points at our very last trip to Goodison before they moved to their new ground. But most importantly, the first game against our old manager, the club legend, David Moyes. A bit of a drab affair in total, but I can assure you, I can't assure you, I can say that I hope me and James Jones, who joins me, will try our best that this podcast will be the opposite of a drab affair. Jonesy, delighted to see you again, mate. We've got an absolutely rapid time schedule in front of us. We've got to cram in loads of top level content within about 25 minutes. I'm off on holiday tomorrow. I had to call in sick last week because of alternative work commitments, but Alex Smith stood in my shoes ably, I understand. How are you? How's things? How are you feeling? How was it without me? What are you feeling about a point at Everton?
I'll keep it short and sweet this week, mate. But yeah, I'm okay. Last week was fun. I'm guessing you didn't listen because there were a couple of little digs. But yeah, there were.
I'm afraid not. Actually, you've outed me. I really should have.
I've outed you. No, I mean, we were debating like who were you supporting at the weekend? Was it David Moyes' Everton or was it Graham Potter's West Ham United? And we were trying to.
I was absolutely delighted with a point, mate.
Yeah, sit on the fence. Yeah. No, when we were speculating what your score prediction would be, and I almost messaged you while we were recording just to get one, but didn't have time. But yeah, other than that, it's all good. Good to have you back. The point of the weekend was, I mean, I've always been a staunch believer that you got to respect the away point. So I shall do that, and I do that, but I can't help but feel like it did feel like a bit of a defeat. Such a late equaliser from Everton. I didn't watch the game, but I watched the highlights, and it feels like probably a point.
Don't say that, mate. You remember what happened last time when me and you had the audacity
to
say that between us we actually couldn't make one game together.
I know, it's terrible, but I have. I
How
told
dare
you before,
we have an opinion?
I know. I told you before we started recording that I clicked on the highlights earlier, and I accidentally clicked on the Everton official ones, and all I got was just Everton highlights. I was like, surely we couldn't have been that bad. So I clicked on the West Ham official one. Turns out we weren't actually that bad. So
not a sniff of any Everton chances in that.
Yeah, exactly. So Pickford pulled off a good few saves. So did Areola. And it does appear to be the case that a 1-1 was probably a fair result, but it feels like a defeat given the timing of their goal.
Yeah, I tell you what. I don't actually know at what slot we were played on Match of the Day, but 1-1 between as 15th plays 16th to leave both teams on 34 points, but 17 points clear of the relegation zone. Like that's cast iron, isn't it? Last on Match of the Day, that one.
I mean, they could have left it out and no one would have noticed, to be fair. Yeah, we'll just finish half hour early, boys.
Yeah. It's getting a bit late, isn't it? Most people have fallen asleep on the sofa. No one's waiting up for Everton 1, West Ham 1. Right, that is for sure. Listen, James, I feel like a lot of the time this season, in an attempt to talk about something positive, we've spent quite a lot of airtime on Tomas Soucek. And look, he and his Mark Noble syndrome, how Noble said the proudest thing of his career was the fact that 9 West Ham managers kept on playing him as a first choice midfielder for West Ham. Tomas Soucek appears to have that same syndrome, and rumours, of course, abound that David Moyes wants to reunite with him in the summer at Everton. And quite frankly, I mean, what a fit it would be, but what a loss it'd be to West Ham. Another superb goal, dispelling the ridiculous myth that seems to pervade that Tomas Soucek is only a defensive midfielder. And I will insist time and time again that because he's not conventionally attractive and he's a bit gangly and he's not exactly like when you're watching him, he's not a silky, smooth, mercurial footballer. People just like, it's almost like an optical illusion. That's what Tomas Soucek is. He's an optical illusion. The people can think because of the way he looks and the way he and his gait, that he can't be good going forward. But once again, the quality of the finish, his general positional play and quick feet showing that, you know, he is exactly that. And he's as much of an asset to West Ham going forward as he is the thing that people think he should be, i.e. breaking up play and being good in the air.
I think that goal takes him above Trevor Sinclair in the all-time goals list for West Ham, which is pretty mental.
I mean, what a stat that is, mate. Well played.
Pretty mental. I'm going to pull up the list in a minute, but, you know, while I pull that up, I mean, surely now no one out there can criticise the man.
Well, they do though, don't they?
Yeah, but they will, and they do, but they don't have any. There's no grounding to that criticism. There's no, like, you can't justify the criticism anymore. The guy is just unbelievable.
You never could. I don't really know when there was a point when you could. Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah,
this isn't a flash in the pan, is it? This is like, oh, he's just doing what he's always done. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that goal takes him to 39 goals for West Ham United in all competitions.
Yeah,
takes him above. So he was level with Trevor Sinclair and Frank Lampard Jr. He's now gone above both of them, and he's now level with Billy Jennings. No idea.
You can't say that.
I mean, I don't know what era he played in, Billy Jennings. If any listeners remember Billy Jennings, he scored 39 goals for West Ham. So
utterly disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful. I just never heard of him, but that's absolutely fine.
And he's 70s icon.
He's won away from Bobby Zamora, which is
played more than 100 games for West Ham across 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's absolute blasphemy. Yeah, that's just off the top of my head. I'd have to Google it, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
sorry,
I'm pretty sure he played about over 100 games between 1974 and 1979, off the top of my head.
Fair enough. And in the Premier League, 34 goals. He's actually 3 behind Trevor Sinclair in the Premier League.
Right.
So, but I mean, all competitions, he's gone above him. He's now 7th. Yeah. He's 7th in the all-time list. He scored more goals than Andy Carroll.
In all comps?
No, in the Premier League. So he's 7th in all time. I mean, all comps, he's still, he's 55th.
Is he really?
Yeah, 55th. I mean, he's only 11 off 50, mate, and only 44 players can say they've scored over 50 goals for West Ham United in history. So he's not far off.
Genuinely, how many of them are midfielders? If you've got the list there,
it doesn't say like what their positions are, but there are a lot. You've got Mark Nobles in there with 62.
Yeah, Pens though.
Pens, yeah. Pens. You've got,
not that Pens don't count, but you know,
I mean, there are a lot of strikers. To be fair, yeah, most of them are strikers.
Yeah, no, incredible, proper icon. I love him so much. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and that was such a good goal, wasn't it? It's a shame it wasn't the winner, really. But I'll never get sick of him doing that twirly helicopter celebration. I mean, even that, one of the worst celebrations in football, but it's like he's trademarked that now. Even that's iconic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that back. Obviously, he didn't do it against Leicester, which I thought was a lovely touch, by the way. The bloke just keeps on scoring. He's also joint level with Bowen in the Premier League this year. He could end the season as our top Premier League goal scorer.
Imagine that.
Which is mental.
What a player. Especially as he started the season with the old clueless manager trying to bomb him out of the squad.
Yeah.
Or trying to bomb him out of the team.
Yeah, and then he realised, didn't he?
What a player, what a story. Yeah. Weren't quite enough for him. A shame he didn't realise all the other heinous errors he was making. But what can you do? What about Everton's goal then, Jonesy? One of the, if I'm honest, it's one of those, you sort of, because of the timing of it, it's head in hands and you're absolutely gutted. It's a pretty extraordinary goal. Like West Ham are defending manfully, you know, and it's just one of those sort of unlucky ones. You're pinned in your box a little bit. The ball comes out, whipped in. Drissa Gana-Gueye, I think it was, who gets on the end of it. Like a first-time volleyed cross back across goal. It's going in about 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah. And Jake O'Brien gets his bonce on the end of it. And it was, honestly, you almost, not because of the Moyes thing, I promise, but you almost clapped. You were like, fair enough. Like it was a well-worked goal, a little bit of fortune in it, but sort of margin for error pretty small there, and they executed it quite nicely.
Yeah, I've got no complaints about it. It's a good goal. Can't stop it, like you said. It's going in at that pace. Like I saw it was Mavropanos trying to block O'Brien's run, and like O'Brien's running at 100 mile an hour. The ball's travelling at 1,000 miles an hour. Like Mavropanos has come under some criticism this season, but not for that. Like he's not stopping that. It's just not stopping it.
Yeah,
so,
Bobby Moore wouldn't have stopped that, would it?
Exactly. So it is what it is. It's just frustrating. Like I said, frustrating that it came so late, 91st minute, and they almost. I think Carlos Alcaraz almost got a winner. Not long after that, he dragged the shot wide. So yeah, it's frustrating that we couldn't go there and come away with all 3 points. Because don't forget, was it 2 weeks ago? We were like, well, Everton coming up, we're not winning that, and we almost did. So and I think it does highlight the improvements that have been made under Graham Potter now. I have to say it. Going forward, it doesn't feel like there's been improvements because we're not scoring as many goals as we were under Lopetegui. But defensively, we've gone from conceding, I think, like just under 2 goals a game on average, or maybe even exactly 2 goals a game, to exactly 1 goal a game. So we're getting there. Obviously, you want that average to be fewer than 1 a game, but 2 goals conceded in the last 4 games, can't really complain too much about it, I think.
No, I quite agree, James. And to be fair as well, we go back to your prediction a little while ago. I think it's quite interesting, really, or not prediction, when we were discussing, weren't we? Before those, the games we've just had with Arsenal, Leicester, Newcastle, and Everton. The fact that we've got out of those 7 points from 4 games is top drawer, isn't it?
Yeah.
I said I think I'd be happy with 4.
Yeah, I think we've, I think those 2 wins, I mean, obviously the Arsenal win was incredibly unexpected. But like I said, it just goes to show that we are improving. He's switched to this, he's sticking with this back 5, which seems to be working. I mean, long term, I'd rather we didn't stick with the back 5 like every single week. But
why so though? Why?
I don't know. I mean, I think we're already seeing that it's stifling our attack slightly. He came out 2 weeks ago and said, I need to improve the defence. So almost not so many words. Bear with me, guys. Like, I just need to do this for now. And he's doing it, and it's working. We're getting results.
He's basically, I'm not even just, he's doing a Moyes, isn't he? That's basically what David Moyes coming, wasn't it? Masuaku in that left wing back position, 5 at the back.
Yeah.
Like, just shore us up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we sort of just come full circle again. Lopetegui just got us back to needing another like rescue job, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think long term, I think we can be confident that long term it's not going to be like this. But at the moment, it has to be like this, and it had to be in order just to make sure that we didn't get sucked into that relegation battle. Was it now 17 points clear? Like we're fine. We're not going to finish in the top 10. We're not going down. Like between now and the end of the season, it's just let's see what we can do. See how many points we can pick up, and let's see how many more millions we can bring in prize money between 16th and 13th, and see what happens.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's sort of one of those things, isn't it? Where I'm just so in case everyone doesn't know, I'm actually off on holiday tomorrow, and it'll be probably by the time this it probably will be out. This will go out on Tuesday night, probably Wednesday for the non-Patreons, and I'm going away for 3 weeks. To be quite honest, normally I know obviously the international break, I think I'm going to miss a couple of 2 games when we get back. Because there's that midweek run of fixtures, isn't there? And like, normally with something like that, I'd be a bit like, especially for something you'd booked well in advance, you'd be a bit, oh no, I don't want to miss any like big games. Yeah, I'm missing the Wolves away game and the Bournemouth at home. And honestly, all I'm thinking of when we get back, the home games, we've got Southampton at home, Tottenham at home, Nottingham Forest at home, and that's it, right? Those are our home games. All I'm thinking, I'm going, there's no way in a million years we're going down. Those will be nice occasions. The sun will be out by then to go and have a pint, hopefully with you a few times, see a few of your mates, see me dad, have a few beers and watch West Ham and sort of just have a few nice days. Almost, apart from that Tottenham one, obviously, but be almost unaffected by the results of the games, because who cares if we come 12th or 16th?
Well, this is it. I'm taking Harrison to the Bournemouth game because in my head I was like,
Nice.
I've been
His first
weighing it
Prem
up.
game?
First Prem game. I took him to the friendly
nice.
in the summer, but I'm like, well, this is the perfect opportunity because if he wants to leave after half an hour, I won't really care because, like, I mean, as much as I'd like to stay there for the full 90 minutes and I want us to win, part of me is like, it will be no loss really if he gets bored after half an hour. So I'm taking him to the Bournemouth game and I'm buzzing for it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. No, happy days, mate. Happy days. What are you as any of the, because I think it sort of has for me, right? A little bit. I was just going to say, has any of the anger subsided to you now, for you now? And what do you sort of feel like the future holds for West Ham? Because I was really, and I know most people could tell, and I think lots of other people were, right? I was really quite not emotional as in bursting into tears, but emotional and just generally quite angry, right? About, because I was sort of happy to and willing to take the unpopular stance that I didn't want David Moyes to leave, and I don't necessarily think it was the best thing for the football club that it should. Before anyone's like, oh, here he goes, we're not looking back. So then when the Lopetegui thing happened, it's almost impossible not to go flipping see. Like, I knew this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Or not new, but, we didn't have to be here, blah, blah, blah. And I was really sort of like angry about it, really. And still you're sort of mourning the European football and stuff and those amazing, like, hopefully not once in a lifetime, but amazing era that was, and all the amazing experiences we had with the European football, blah blah blah. I think a little bit of that subsided for me, like the initial sort of anger and emotion of it. Because I think Graham Potter, if nothing else, he at least gets it. So after the Lopetegui didn't give a stuff about connecting with the fans. He was only in it for himself. Unnecessary stubbornness. It's only him and Guillaume Balague who are thinking he did a good job at West Ham. Everyone else got two eyes in their head and knows exactly what happened. Graham Potter's come in. He's just, like I say, trying to play some square pegs in some square holes and he seems to get it. I like the way he talks. He seems to care about striking a bond up with the fans. He's talked well about what's gone before, and how well David Moyes in particular did and what an achievement it was. And I just like the way he's going about things now. My point is, although the anger's gone, or not gone, but subsided a little bit, it's not quite as intense as it was. It hasn't exactly been replaced with this sense of optimism of like, oh, yeah, we're getting back in, like, give it another season and we'll get back into Europe. Graham Potter, for me, has done nothing to suggest really that he's anything more than like a mid-table manager who might play some fairly pleasing on the eye football doing it. But so again, there's not a negative or a positive really. I would say I'm sort of in the apathy stage now. How are you feeling? Both sort of looking back and with a nod to what I've sort of said about what's gone before, particularly this season, and then sort of as far as the future goes.
I'm feeling quite optimistic. Not to the point where I'm like, Graham Potter's definitely the man. We're gonna be finishing in the top 5 and next year and stuff like that, or top 6. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, but I'm optimistic that he can get us back into the top 10, and I think that's where we should be aiming to start with. We've regressed so much over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Since the trophy win, that it's a bit like we can't then expect one manager to come in.
Did you say progressed?
Regressed.
Right, sorry, yeah.
Oh, definitely regressed.
I was like, we haven't got time to have that argument.
No. But yeah, we've regressed so much since Prague, that it would be unrealistic and unfair to just expect Graham Potter to come in and take us straight back up to where we were.
Yeah.
But realistically, he's probably going to need another 2 transfer windows to get even close to the squad that he's going to need or want. We're not going to get half the business done that he needs to get done in the summer. especially given that there's a lot more financial constraints around football clubs. Like we can't go out and spend another 150 million.
No.
So, I mean, we might spend that, but that would mean having to sell a lot of players. So that's the trade-off. So, yeah, I think as long as he gets us back into the top 10, and if you're in the top 10, given how competitive the Premier League is, and if we go by this season, if you're in the top 10, you're in with a shout. You're in amongst it. You know, the Premier League had to put out an article the other day explaining that the top 11 could qualify for Europe this year, and this is how it's done. So, like, that just shows if you
and even then we're still not in with a shout.
Oh, definitely not in the shout. I looked at it and went, well, we can't even finish 11th. So, well, that's that. Right.
Yeah. Knowing us, the way this season gone, we've probably even got too many yellow cards to be considered for the Fair Play League.
Yeah. But it just shows that if you're in the top 10, you're in amongst it and you're in with a shout, there's a chance. I don't think there is a traditional top 6. For so many years, that top 6 was always miles ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. It's more like now probably a top 8, top 9, maybe even a top 10. So if you're in there and you're in amongst it, then you've got half a chance to qualify for Europe again. Yep. And I think he's the right man to get us there as a top 10 team, and then we can see where we go from there. But top 6, top 7 is probably as like a consistent finishing top 6, top 7 at the moment. Too much to ask straight away, I think.
Oh yeah, no, just wonder if you had any confidence up and beyond that. Right, let's have a couple of messages, James. Don't forget, by the way, follow us on socials at @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. Basically, just go on your favourite social media platform and search We Are West Ham Podcast. Apart from Facebook, which we ditched, which was silly, really, James, because it's actually a revenue-driving platform now, and just contrary to popular belief. We barely earn we barely earn like enough to buy each other a couple of pints at West Ham whenever we meet up. Although someone did accuse you recently, suggest that you were it's the same bloke actually who had a go at you for not for daring not to be at one of West Ham's games, the Arsenal away game, for which tickets were rarer than or more difficult to get hold of than a difficult to get hold of thing in a difficult to get hold of shop. Actually sort of made the suggestion then that you're earning a living out of this podcast. Can you sort of, has that changed? I mean, we were quick to dispel that rumor, because as far as I'm aware, you are still doing your full-time job, aren't you? In order to earn some actual money.
I can confirm categorically that sadly I still do not, 2 or 3 weeks on from that original comment, I still do not earn a living from YouTube. It's a terrible state of affairs.
Or the podcast in general.
I've come to terms with it.
Yeah. I think I think the colloquial term is for the financial situation of the We Are West Ham podcast is was it covering your exes? Is that it?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. There is a more sort of funny colloquial term for it. But anyway, on that note, though, you can support me and James if you want at patreon.com/We Are West Ham Podcast. It's only a couple of quid a month. Or a few quid a month, actually. A couple suggest 2. I don't know what it works out, James. About £2.99, is it? Something like that?
£3, £3.50, something like that.
Oh, yeah, when you pay a little bit of fees or whatever. So, yeah, basically the price of a Starbucks coffee, a small one, bear in mind, not a medium or a large, every month. And, yeah, that supports me and James, really. We do the podcast when we can. Once a week, the reaction podcast, of course, and the opposition views when we can get those done in the week as well. So you sort of average over a season about 2 podcasts a week. But predominantly just supports me and James. Make sure we're not having to dip into our own pockets to keep this thing going. Because there are costs associated, believe it or not. On that note, Jonesy, a few messages from the Patreons. Paul, 7 points in the last 3 games, and Wolves up next after the break. Should really be 3 points there. JDD said, hard to feel any way other than positive. And then Paul, sort of rightfully so, says West Ham will find a way. Jim, so near, but yet so far after the Everton game. One of the other patrons, kind of a what the hell match, in my opinion. Not too much to say beyond that. We were good in the second half, but they crashed the goal in the 90th minute and deserved their point. Moyes derby, happy with a point, I guess, but was Soucek again, ole. One other thing, Jonesy, the Jim's got in touch, Adam Nethersoul as well. Michael Wood, hello to all you. Like, no one sort of particularly mourning my absence last week when Alex stood in instead of me, which is a little bit heartbreaking. Just quickly, Jonesy, Mikel Antonio gave an interview this week as well. Seems to be on the road to recovery and determined, he says, to play football again.
Oh, it's great to see that he's I think he said 2 or 3 months ahead of schedule. I mean, that's pretty mental given the severity of his injury.
Yeah.
And would love to see him back in a West Ham shirt at least once. He's out of contract this summer. I've got a feeling that they'll offer him.
I think they have. I think there's a 6-month extension on the table, not at his normal terms, but as far as I understand, there's a 6-month extension on the table, which is like, again, it won't be at his current terms, but enough to sort of, help him pay his mortgage or whatever, if he's even got one, but enough to sort of help him get by a respectable amount of money to give him the chance to get fit again.
Right. I mean, if that's the case, then great. I did think that surely they offer him an extension. But I would love, even if he comes off the bench, Ipswich won the final day of the season.
Yeah.
Like the fans love him. He's come out and he really appreciates the support that he's had. He was never going to get anything less than the support that he did, to be honest. The fans love him. And it was just great to see him at the stadium before the Newcastle game. And yeah, it's good to see him in good spirits and raring to go, and seemingly like almost ready to get back on a pitch, which is great. Because there was a moment, wasn't there, where we thought, I don't think we're going to see him again. Don't going to see him again. So fair play to him. Yeah,
no, totally. Do you think he has a future at West Ham now? If we can pay him, give him some, keep the money going to help him get fit, brilliant. It's one of those things, it might be a bit crass, but now he's sort of in, back to, or sort of on his way back to full fitness and full health. It feels sort of maybe there's room to sort of say it, but I didn't really feel like he was sort of a way off beforehand. Does he stay at West Ham as a bench impact player, as a cut player, or do you think, look, help get him back fit, and it might be sort of, if he can play again or he gets a testimonial, by all means, brilliant, but then perhaps time to say goodbye?
Yeah, I think so. I suppose when he does come back, and if there is a 6-month extension, it depends what impact he has in the first half of next season. In terms of a bench play, he's not going to be a regular starter on the Graham Potter.
No,
I think we know that much. But it all rests on what impact he can have and what he can offer us. And we still don't know. I mean, he's quite confident he can get back up to full to be like as sharp as he was. We don't know how much that type of leg break is going to affect his running style, his pace, his confidence. He reckons he's going to be confident, but you wait until you start playing like Premier League football again. It's going to be it's going to be in the top of his mind. So we don't know. It's difficult to see a long-term future given his age, but I think he will play for West Ham United again, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, in one form or another. Right, James, look, I totally agree. We've both got to go. Very pressing work commitments. Plus, I am off, as I say, tomorrow. 3 weeks I'm going on holiday for. I'll be at the very bottom of Africa, Jonesy, thinking of you all fondly and not overly gutted about the West Ham games that I'm missing, to be quite frank. But look, Alex Smith will be standing in ably in my stead with Jonesy while I'm off, and a couple of weeks Alex can't do. We've got some other guests in the offing, penciled in at least to cover. So you still get your fix of We Are West Ham podcast activity, but it will be Will Pulis for the next 3 weeks, which, to be honest, for some of you might be a blessing in disguise. Thanks for listening, everyone. Follow us on socials, We Are West Ham Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really like what we do and you want to support me and James, then consider signing up to the Patreon, patreon.com/We Are West Ham Podcast. Another underwhelming result in one of the most underwhelming seasons in football history, let alone West Ham history, as we are cruising our way towards a finish between 14th and 16th. Thanks for listening, everyone. Super Tomas Soucek forever. West Ham United are massive. Up the Hammers. I will see you in 3 weeks' time. And James Jones will be back with you next week.